Today, I messed up by bringing too much beer to a work party. 2 facts about me that are important to this story. First, I was raised by an alcoholic, and second, I do not drink alcohol. Last week, my boss asked me to pick up alcohol for a department party. I told her that I might be the wrong person to ask since I do not drink and therefore do not know what people typically like or how much to get. She told me to just get whatever, it will be fine, and she gave me the corporate credit card. So I tried to think back to my childhood because I do not drink. I never hung out at bars in college, and the only measure I had regarding how much people drink was based on my father. I remembered that it was usually by beer number 6 that my father turned into a pretty cheerful guy. This was so prevalent in my life that my brother and I called it the 6-beer smile. Note, my father would not always stop at 6. He would sometimes drink 10 or more a day, so I thought, well, my father drank a lot, so I think we will be fine with 5 bottles of beer per person, since that is just one shy of a smile. I called my older brother to double-check if 5 beers per person would be a sufficient amount of alcohol for a work party, and he agreed. Yes, that sounds about right. The department has 40 people, so I ended up picking up about 34 6-packs. I got a variety because why not? And yes, it cost a lot, but this company wastes money on plenty of other things, so I just assumed this was just the cost of a party with alcohol. I loaded up my car, which took a long time, drove to work, and then carried everything to the large conference room that was reserved for the party. The party was yesterday evening. I really only stuck around for a little bit, made appearances to wave hello and say something to the higher-ups so they knew I attended, and then I left for home early. I woke up to some texts from my boss today consisting mostly of, "How much did you buy? The party is drowning." And finally, "There is more in the cabinets." And yes, when I initially dropped everything off, I ran out of space on the counter, so I put the rest in the cabinets. I asked a few friends why my boss was freaking out. They started laughing and reminded me that my father is an alcoholic, and I probably should have only gotten 2 drinks per person because that is way more normal for a work party. To summarize, I bought 5 beers per person for the work party, and I can only imagine what the result was. But even though I messed up, let us be real. My boss messed up more by asking the non-drinker to buy the alcohol. Update, February 24, 2025. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. I especially appreciate those of you who reassured me that it really was not that bad and those of you who gave me advice for the future. I got a little overwhelmed by the number of responses, so I apologize if I did not respond to your comment, but I appreciate all of them. A few clarifications. I live in the United States, and the area I am in is a little on the conservative and religious side of things. Folks around here drink, obviously, but getting drunk around coworkers, for example, is frowned upon. This is, I have learned, very different depending on where you live in the world. The definition of alcoholic is also very different from person to person. My father was, and is, a sad, angry man, and in my second-hand experience, alcohol was a very unstable way for him to self-medicate for his anger and grief. For those of you who were distressed that my coworkers drank warm counter beer, someone put the drinks on the counter in a cooler between when I dropped them off and when the party started. Again, I try to leave work parties as soon as I can. I prefer to hang with my friends or my brother when I have free time. It turns out party was a misnomer from my boss, and as someone suggested in the comments, it was more of an after-work social gathering where the intention was for people to drop in and out or stay for a while. Anyways, I was the first one in the office. My boss, let us call her Kathy, came in a little fired up though, so thank you to those who gave me some good responses to her. First, Kathy asked why I did not respond to her texts, and I told her that I do not check work texts on the weekend. Then she asked what I was thinking by acquiring so much expensive alcohol, and I said, as many suggested, I told you I do not drink and did not know how much to get, so I wanted to make sure there was enough and that there was a good variety available. I held out the corporate card for her to take back, and she took it and went off to her office and shut the door. A few folks stopped by my cubicle to tell me the party was fun and I should have stuck around. Word clearly got around that this was my doing because one man told me I should always be the one who brings the drinks. Kathy's door stayed shut all morning. I started getting a little anxious because, cost aside, it sounded like everyone had a good time, so I figured, forget it, and I went to my boss's boss, let us call him Brian, to see if everything was okay. According to Brian, everyone thought the random assortment of beer was pretty great. After I left the party, which was as soon as possible, that was when they figured out that there were a bunch of different items in the cooler. One person started digging until they found something they liked, which encouraged more people to do the same. Brian said it was funny when someone opened the cabinets and yelled out, "There is more!" which I admit is kind of funny. I told Brian that Kathy seemed really upset about the whole thing. According to Brian, Kathy was pretty upset on Friday and kept apologizing about how much I overspent. I told him that I did not even know there was a budget, and he laughed at that. I found out then that the budget was around $100 for drinks. I spent around $440. I gave Brian the same short explanation I gave Kathy. I do not drink and was not sure what or how much to get. I asked Brian if he wanted me to return any unopened six-packs, and Brian told me not to worry about it and said that he would talk to Kathy. On a different but still related note, some of you said my brother's response to me was hilarious, and some of you said it was concerning, and I honestly agreed either way. I called my brother when I got home from work, and we had a really good talk. It turns out he did not think my question was serious, and his answer was sarcastic, so when I told him the whole story, he thought the situation was pretty amusing. We also discussed the impact of fathers drinking on both of us. I am not going to go into a lot of detail, but he reassured me that nowadays he only drinks with friends, and even then, not very often. I made sure he knows that if he ever needs to talk, I am here for him. Update summary. My coworkers had a good time. My boss panicked about going over budget, but her boss thought the excess was funny and told me not to worry about it. Most importantly, my brother is okay and not following in our father's footsteps.